Hello, everybody. Hi, Arunima. How are you?
Hey Bobby, I'm great. How are you?
Good, good, good. I wanted to show you something really quick before the call, just to make sure I didn't make any mistakes. So let me share my
Okay.
screen real quick. I don't know which screen I'm sharing, but I'll just share this one. See. So, during the past 2 weeks, I've been thinking about, we're kind of halfway through this event. Let's see where we are and what's going to happen. So I gave it a lot of thought, and I realized I think we're ready to just start, almost ready to start like presenting this stuff to people and see how it goes over. So I did a presentation that we can work from. I figured it was easier than setting up a GitHub repository or doing it on the wiki or whatever. So and I wanted it to be fun. So I gave everybody nicknames. So I just wanted to make sure I'm not insulting anybody or doing anything, spelling anybody's name wrong. So I'm just going to go to this one page and share it with you. And you tell me if I'm doing anything incorrect. Can you see the agenda?
Yes, we can. It's
Okay.
looking so great.
Oh, thank you. Well, I stole the new templates from the website.
Yeah, it's
Just
looking really bright.
so I just stole the template from the new website. This would be something like that we'd have to talk about. AI and documentation we'd have to talk about. And then I really wanted to start out with this next section. How I spent my summer by because you're Arunima the anchor. We have GitHub guru Gianluca, template titan Tipur, Kajal the template marshal, Victoria the vault keeper and the guide provider, and badge builder Agnes, and Kasha the onboarder. Is that insulting anybody, or can I go with those titles?
I think it looks really cool.
And did I get the right person for the right subcommittee? No, I'll show you in the presentation, and everybody can
Okay.
discuss it then. So basically, what I think should happen here is these basically are our subgroups. Okay, so let me go back. So I had envisioned this because, again, I've been reading about what makes interesting presentations. I've been doing presentations my whole life, and they are getting very boring for me. So everything these days is about telling the story and the storytelling, and it's really hard to tell a story about this because it's really not storytelling, it's documentation, and there's really no storytelling about that. So I figured if we did it from like the perspective of you and you getting to know your new friends, or now I'm going to introduce you to GitHub guru Gianluca, or like however you want it to go. But I thought, and again, if you don't like this, or if there's another way you thought of presenting our stuff, we can go with that. But this is just the only idea I could come up with.
I think it
And
looks great.
okay, so we'll present that a little later in the event. And there are some, again, these are just the categories that I attached people to. I'm not really sure if, again, maybe Agnes might be around for one. And I know Shinji's been at a couple of these calls, or someone else wants to step up and do that section, or work with them and do that section, because sometimes maybe we'll be presenting to a meetup and Gianluca can't make it, or we'll presenting to the TOC and Victoria can't make it, or something like that. So I want to be able to have these characters interchangeable, so that if the person, because we're going to be doing this presentation to the community in a lot of different ways, and also to the public, and also to the Linux Foundation, when we do the AI piece. So I just thought that would be interesting. And I see Tripur, you're on the call. Do you have any problem being a template titan?
No, it is interesting. I like the name. It's rhymey.
It was really late when I was trying to think of these names. So if you could come up with any better one for any of these, that would be great. And we'll go over, I have a slide for each one and what I see as not how the individual is going to present what they're going to present, but more, the bucket for it. Anyway.
I don't know what's the tradition there, but since I just graduated recently, so here it is.
I'm sorry, remember, we can't hear you. Are you still there? Can people hear me?
Yeah, we can. I can, and I think
Uh,
Arima is having some internet issues.
oh, okay. Yeah, she had muted, so I guess her internet isn't. Let me see if she put anything in the chat. We still can't hear you, Irina. I know you're off mute.
Arunima, try rejoining the meeting. Maybe that will work.
Can you hear me now, Bobby?
Yes, I can. Excellent.
Okay, that's great.
Good. Yeah, we'll get ready for the call in a minute. I have like 6 million browsers open and I'm trying to find different ones that will help us. Here's the one I wanted. All right, and I'm going to put on mute for just 2 minutes. I'll be back at 9 to grab some coffee. So I'll be back in a minute. Hello, everybody. I'm going to share my screen in a second. Let me do that.
Hello, Bobby.
Hello, Gianluca. How are you?
Fine, thanks.
We have a new nickname for you.
Okay.
You'll see. I think you'll like it. So we're gonna get started so that hopefully we won't keep you too long today. I am, again, Bobby Mascara. I am working with Arunima to chair the documentation task force. We are halfway through our summer work. We are heading towards now what I call just, I think that we've spent a lot of time disseminating the documentation in the community and what it looks like and where it is. We've had some discussions on where it needs to go. And so today we're going to go over a little bit of a plan on how to get there. So let me just edit this a little, put everybody's name in. And then again, I was telling Arunima, so at this point, like we really have kind of figured out what's needed in the documentation. And we're not here to create massive amounts of documentation unless it's easy with an AI engine. We're just here to make recommendations on how that documentation should be created. So I know that a lot of people were like, oh, I can't create like all this massive, that's not what we're here for. We're just here for more of opinions from people on what that should look like. So let me just, okay, so I'm here to help facilitate this presentation. We're going to be taking our findings and presenting them to the community in many, many different ways. So we want everyone to be familiar with everybody else's part in the presentation, just in case that person's not there for that particular one. But basically we've, you've expressed interest in a certain area. So we've kind of assigned that. And I know Shinji is not assigned anything, but just jump in anywhere you want. There's some open categories that I wasn't sure was going to make the presentation. If somebody wants to share that section, that's great too. So I'm just going to basically let everybody introduce themselves and write their names down so we know who was here today. And then we're going to get right into what I'm going to call the presentation. So Arunima, if you'd like to introduce yourself to everybody, and then we'll get moving.
Yeah, so hello everyone. My name is Anima Chaudhary and I am from India. I recently graduated and I will be going for my master's, so that's something new that's coming in my life. And apart from that, I have been working with Bobby for the past 3 months on this documentation task force. And apart from working, the best part of it was I met so many amazing people, meet so many amazing friends, and learned a lot while making some good contributions also to the community. Yeah, so that's about me.
Akansha?
Yeah, hi. Is my voice audible properly?
It's audible.
Yeah. So myself, Akanksha, and I'm currently hyperdigital mentee for onboarding. And I've been also working with Bobby since past 3 months, and my other mentors, John, Nico, and Peter. And I have been contributing to documentation and onboarding both since the past 3 months. And I've made a very good circle, Arundama and other people in group. And it was an amazing journey till now, and I look forward for the upcoming months as well.
Great, and we appreciate your crossing over between both doing double duty. Gianluca?
Okay. Hello, I'm Gianluca. Could I share my screen, Bobby? Sorry,
Of course, hold on.
because I added some slide to the previous
Excellent.
the last
You should be able to,
presentation.
you should just be able to do it now.
Okay, thank you. Okay, this is a short presentation. Perfect. So I'm Gianluca Capuzzi from Italy. I'm a software engineer, and I am the chair of the GitHub template bucket of this Hyperledger mentorship program. I already presented last time the idea of study and integration of an AI tool like the GPT in existing software of the Hyperledger ecosystem. Also, I presented the idea of other tools already existing in one very known website is Hugging Face. And the last time I showed an example of one technology in the background, one background technology of GPT. If we want, if you are curious, I can show again. And next technology is the generative AI model. I'm working on it. Today I finished the implementation on Google Colab, and also I have some result. This is the expected result, the generation of an handwritten digit. And for the future, I like to investigate an open source model, LLM model, and I think a good candidate could be Llama, which is released from Meta, Facebook. And last slide about some ideas for the GitHub template could be to check the existing GitHub repositories of the other tools in Hyperledger ecosystem, comparing with different status, like proposal, incubating, and graduated tools, and the proposal draft of each template in the different status. And when approved, provide the user guide related to each template. I finished, but I'm available to question if there are questions.
This work is great, and it absolutely is so in line with what we're doing next. So thank you for this. And excuse me, when I show you the presentation that we're going to be working on for the rest of the time, you'll see where these slides will fit in perfectly. So thank you for doing all that work. And then who is left to introduce themselves? Do you want to introduce yourself? Kajal is here now. Up again, we can't hear you, Kajal.
Okay.
I heard you for a second.
Sure.
Yeah, now it's okay.
So, hello everyone, I'm Kajal. So, like, I am.
Unfortunately, Kajal, you're coming in and out, and we really can't hear your introduction. Oh, we'll move on to Victoria for now, and then we'll see if. Oh, there you go.
Hello.
Hello.
Am I audible now?
Yes, much better.
Okay. So, I am contributing in the template project in Hyperledger. So, I have reviewed and researched on the various existing templates the Hyperledger is using. So, I just I didn't understand 2 to 3 templates. So, I would like to ask Bobby about what those templates are for. And regarding the left, I just reviewed and I would like to share my screen with you.
Of course, go right ahead.
So, like, I have created a FigJam file. This
Wow,
is
that's Gorgeous.
Thank you. So like we have like 6 to 7 templates. So first one is like white paper, second is use cases, third is blog basic. So in the blog basic, it is empty. So like I have like proposed some solution, like we have to create a, like we'll create a standard template for the blogs. Like when we are documenting something, we want user to understand like how to use that documentation thing, or how to use that project, or how to understand the code, or what are the resources. So we would maintain a blog for that, and we can like take help from the platform like Medium, Hashnote, and Drupal, which is for developer. We can like take references from these platform to create our blog. And like the fourth template is for like the GitHub user guide and resource pages. So in this, I have thought to like create a standard template, like for all the Hyperledger project, we would create the standard issue and pull request template like for all the project. And also we would be giving the coding guidelines, like in the code part, we will be giving guidelines like how to use the comment thing, how to use the code in modular blocks, and how to create a project doc and all. Like I have seen many GitHub repositories, but I didn't understand like how the code thing has been structured. So we would create a standard structure for all the like coding projects. Then there would be resources page, like how to like use the GitHub like for the open source new joinee. And then we have a user guide and standard readme template for all the project, like the documentation, the coding. Every Hyperledger project should have a standard like readme, because readme is very essential. It is like a documentation of the like project you have created. You could mention everything in the readme, and like this would attract the users. And the next is presentations, like we give a presentation on to various teams, and like we have given the TOC presentation. So we will be creating a standard template, a style guide, a graphic, like the color theme, which would incline to the Hyperledger font theme and standard template. Then we would create like a standard color and slide template, and we would also use the minimal text and all. Like I would research more on this thing. And this one is a graphic set standard, like the logos, we know that the new Hyperledger logo has been like introduced to us. So we will like update all the template and project with the new logo, and we can also change the logo of the existing project like inclining to the new logo theme. Like we can do this also to improve the branding, because the third point is branding guidelines. So we need to like if we want to attract user to our project, our documentation, we need to like do something like which appeal their eyes. So, and also there is like standard collection of graphic for every project. Like every project should be uniform. Like if they are using this color in their documentation, then like in the website, it's the color format and everything, like style guide and everything should be like uniform. So this is what I have. And also like I saw the like a template wiki page. There we have like these projects: wiki space, maintenance, GitHub repository, training, documentation packet, diverse group of maintainer, presentation slides. So we would be like creating specific templates for all these groups, and I will be like asking more projects or project and maintainers, and would decide like what more like template use cases on project template they need. So this is what I have done, but like I have a few doubts related to the template. So I would share my screen.
And we're going to go over those a lot of this stuff, this is dead on correct, exactly what's needed. A lot of this stuff exists, like you said, it just needs to be updated with the new logos. But this is awesome. So thank you so much. Anybody have any questions? No, well, and you'll see where this.
No,
Let me
this
see if
this
anybody
this
raised hand.
looks so beautiful.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Okay, so who is I don't know if Shinji wants to introduce yourself. No, quite quiet. And Rama's here. Rama, you just want to say hi to everybody?
Hi, everybody. Hi, Bobby. Bye, Tanvi.
I'm sorry I missed your call on Friday. I was driving down the East Coast from Boston to New Jersey, and I thought I could get on the call, but the traffic was just, there was just no way I could multitask like that and survive the drive. So I picked my life over the meeting.
Oh, I have no complaints. Yeah, you can listen to the recording. It was just Tracy, Arun, and
Tracy was there. That's who I have to get in touch with. So I'm glad she
yeah,
was there. Go
Tracy,
listen to
Arun,
that.
and me. Yeah, and I'll post some notes on the Discord.
Excellent. Thank you. So again, everybody, let me just make sure. Victoria, did you get a chance to say hi?
Oh, not yet. I just
Oh.
joined.
Oh, okay. Well, Victoria, say hi.
Hi, everyone. Good day.
Okay, so today what we're going to do is we're going to incorporate all the wonderful work that everybody's done into one space because I was thinking about this and there are so many spots between onboarding, user guides, templates, start here, where all our information is going to go. But first we need to organize it. You have a question, Tapur?
I haven't introduced myself yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. You were on the call first, so I automatically assumed you did. Sorry about that. You've been here with me for about a half hour already, so I just assumed you did. So go ahead, please introduce yourself.
Hi everyone. So I'm working on the like GitHub read the docs, and we were making some standard guide documentation, user guide documentation. So I want to share my screen and show you some like update on that.
Of course.
So I found this amazing AI called whimsical.com, and here we just have to everyone can see my screen, right?
Yeah.
So we just have to write the description. So I wrote a standard guide for user documentation, and it came up with all the amazing like how I'm going to like subdivide it, like the purpose of user documentation, audience and user personas, and if in case I don't like this and I want a deeper knowledge in that, so I can also say generate AI to do like again generate this, so it will give me more options like beginner users, intermediate users, advanced users, like that. And for this I am thinking to proceed further this with this style, as this was I was like mind mapping in my mind, and it made my work easier by using this AI. So wanted everyone to just, if anyone wants that, I can also share this website with you all, so that you, if you want to make anything from like don't want to make anything from the scratch, this will be a really help in that. So yeah.
Oh, I have a question. What am I looking at? What is the software package you're using?
Actually, this is the user guide documentation standard. So we were making a documentation on that, right?
No, but
So
where's this mind map coming from? What platform?
I don't know about that, but it's I just have to like choose a template, and then it will show like give
No,
it
no,
to me.
you said you'd share the website.
Yeah. Whimsical.com.
Whimsical. That's what I was looking for. Whimsical. This is incredible. I have never seen anything like this in my life. You have blown me away. You just typed in a sentence and it made this. This is
Yes.
incredible. I can remember back in the Hyperledger days, back in 2017, I was working with Alfonso from the Latin America chapter, to do a mind map for public sector. And it took us 6 months and it wasn't nearly as good as this. So this just blew my mind. Whimsical. I'm going to write that
Yeah,
down.
I have also mentioned that in the comment section, like in the chat section. So yeah, I thought this is a really great AI tool and everyone should have this because it is helping me to like mind map all the things and I don't have to do a single thing. I just
This
have
is
to like
incredible.
change some of the things. That's all.
I'm just, my mouth is just like wide open right now. Just like, okay, now I got to go to my little silly thing now, which isn't really, I was so excited now, like my wind's out of my sail. Okay, so everybody introduce themselves. If you haven't, please jump in right now. And I'm going to go back to sharing my screen. Okay, so that was incredible. So hopefully we have everybody who's on the call. So what I want to do today is I want to go over the presentation, like I said. So everybody's been doing all this hard work and we need one place to keep it. And I wasn't sure if it was going to be the wiki page or on a Google Doc or whatever. So I just decided, you know, we'll keep it on a wiki page. We'll keep this presentation somehow. I really like what I just saw with that Figma, but I don't know how to use it, but that would probably work rather than doing it in a shared PowerPoint doc. But we'll talk about that we'll talk about later. And I guess Arunima, that would more be like your kind of decision to make at the end. But let me just share the PowerPoint real quick. So this is what I thought, how, again, this is just a really rough draft of what I think moving forward, what we're going to look like. So in my opinion, our job was to make recommendations, and the best way to make recommendations is to present our findings. So we're halfway through. Everybody definitely knows what's being asked of them, and they're exceeding expectations with what I just saw. But now we have to organize it so that we can present it, because it's great that we know about it. Now we have to have the community know about it. So let me see if I can present this. So I threw this presentation together. Again, I tried to create a template from the website. So I did a lot of eye-dropping tools to make sure the colors were correct. And I did make this into a template, but again, I'm sure it needs to be fixed and again, categorized in our library. But this is what I thought. So we would introduce ourselves as the Hyperledger Foundation, and this is the recommendations from the documentation task force. And again, everywhere we go, we have to show that slide, and we have to show that slide. So Hyperledger documentation this summer, it's definitely been a team effort, and I've had a hoot doing it, but let's get, into the agenda. So first part of the agenda, again, is the goals and objectives, which I now have to mind map now that I've seen that I can do that to make sure that I have them all. And it's just going to be a slide on what our goals are and what our objectives are. And then the next slide is talking about AI and documentation. And I'm not sure if that's going to go in the beginning or at the end, but we do want to talk about how we're trying to incorporate all the new tools. We're going to have suggestions for AI tools at the end in some kind of document or formatted library or whatever, or tools that we've used in our efforts. So again, I'm not really sure where the AI part comes in, but I just put it there. And then the next is Arunima is going to take over, or she'll do that beginning part as well. And she's going to talk about how she spent her summer vacation. And we're going to call her Arunima the Anchor. And then she's going to introduce GitHub Guru Gianluca, Template Titan Tripur, Kajal the Template Marshal, Vault Keeper Victoria, the Guide Provider, Badge Builder Agnes, and Ankasha the Onboarder. So again, bear with me with the names. It was late last night when I was doing these. I hope I didn't insult anybody with your title. You can change them, you can edit them, but I figure this is kind of like the story we're going to tell by having it relate to like a person and their mission, because all the things we're doing is very, very vast. The community and all of our efforts are so spread out all over the place. The best way to get people to remember what they are is to associate them with a person. So that's what I thought in our storytelling we could do. So Arunima is going to walk by the friends she met this summer. And let's see what that looks like. Again, this was the documentation. This is the information we have to get across. It's not going to look like that on a presentation. I will make it so, or Arunima and I will make it so it is easy, 1 word or 2 for each point, so that people understand the goals of the task force. And then the objectives of the task force are just, you know, how you get there. And this is just, you know, basic stuff. And then this is our, like, the standards that we want. We want, you know, standards in architects and education or performance standards, and we want it usable. This is just a button that I made from the buttons on the website. Theirs is a little more shifted to the diagonal to the right with a shadow. The shadow is more over here, but for me, I just did it real quick. That's something that you talked about before in the style guide that we need to have, so that I would just be able to grab that button from the style guide instead of spending 15 minutes trying to recreate it. And then we get into, again, Arunima would say, you know, these are the areas that documentation touches the community. And let's start with our friend. Or you would introduce yourself as the anchor. You are the leader who is establishing and inspiring the documentation task force. And there's your little anchor logo. Next, you'd introduce the GitHub guru, Gianluca. And Gianluca, in this part, there also is going to be an AI set part, which I did at the end, but I didn't really assign anybody to it yet because there's so many tools and I'm not really sure the direction of where that was going. But definitely the pieces that you've presented would be in that section, not so much this section, the GitHub template section. I put some slides, like, because again, you were first, and because you were first, I did a little bit more work on GitHub templates than the other sections, but I have clear paths for people to follow if they need advice, but pretty much everybody kind of knows where they want their sections to go. But for this section, I thought to help the maintainers, I took the project life cycle and I took out things like end of life, because we really don't care about end of life or deprecation. We just want current projects. So if you're a project coming in, the first thing you do is a proposal. The proposal then gets to, I have a mistake on my slide. Incubation should be here, graduated should be here. And then you have to do updates. So if your code base gets updated, how do you reflect that in your GitHub support repositories? And what do you need to maintain this? Is there going to be some kind of token badging system after a year? You have to relook at it to re-up your badge. We don't know what that looks like yet, but these are kind of all the pieces that they need as a maintainer for your GitHub basic repository. And again, here is the link, which I'm sure you've seen. This is labs. So that's the first part. So if I'm coming into the Hyperledger community with a lab, for instance, I did the giving chain. I needed to copy the GitHub repository for labs, fill in my information, and then I have to supply it to the lab stewards for approval. Well, this all needs to be documented in a user guide. And then once you do that, if your GitHub repository meets all the considerations, maybe you get a badge that says you can go to the TOC for approval. But this is the information that the maintainers would need, that Gianluca, you can kind of see where that's going. And then the same thing would be GitHub requirements for a graduated project. We switched. So that kind of, Gianluca, is just for this section. This isn't really the AI section. This is just for the maintainers. So if I'm a maintainer coming into the community and I want to put my lab up, where's the first spot? And then again, you would work with Ankasha on onboarding for them to be able to find your information, but that's the information they need. They need to be able to get to the GitHub repository that they need to copy and make their own, and they need to know during the phases of their project when that has to be updated or changed. Do you have any questions?
Not yet. Thank you.
Yeah, and so basically that's what is needed for that section, is to support the maintainers and their GitHub repositories for their life cycle of the project.
Okay, cool.
And I'm not sure if you want to include the learning badge mentorship. Oh, sorry. The learning badge. I know that there's that learning token that they're working on. That might be something more for their user guides and maybe incentivizing the community to learn about the projects rather than here. But it's just something to keep in mind, badging or tokenizing good GitHub repositories that are complete and meet our standards.
Okay.
So that basically would be Gianluca, the GitHub guru section.
Great.
Moving right along. Next, Arunima is going to spend time with her new friend, Template Titan Tipur. I know I say your name different each time I say it, but again, and you're doing the make the doc. So you're going to walk through the recommendations for the community. I don't know if you want to use Solana or whatever as your, again, feel free to, and Gianluca, feel free to make these slides your own, make this but I'm just saying this is your section. Let me get back to your page. This is your section. The slides I put in there were just suggestions. I would suggest you take my 2 slides out and put in your slides for the, I mean, this is all you. Just hopefully keeping it with the look and feel that Hyperledger wants, this new color. So whatever this says is up to you. And again, same thing with these GitHub Make the Docs committee. It would be all you, however you want. If you want to do a demo showing like, here's Solana's GitHub repository, this is how you step 1, put it into Make the Docs, step 2, choose your template and your, like however it works, this would be your section. And I guess we'll put this up on Google Drive so everybody can just edit their sections, or you can just make your own PowerPoint and we'll add the slides in. It really doesn't matter how you want to develop your section, just so you know what section you'll be working on. And if you don't want to work on a section, don't, you can still present, but just let us know if you're not have the bandwidth to help out week to week, because again, I want this to be modular. So if someone doesn't show up for one of the presentations, somebody else can do that section that time. Do you have any questions, Tipur?
No, it's clear.
Okay, good. And then we're moving right along to the template Marshall. Good job. So again, this is the templates like you had just showed us with the work here is great. You've already done it. It's just a matter of making it available to the community and showing them, what to do. So again, this is your section. Take this page, create a section underneath it, and I'll show you in a second what the outline of the presentation looks like. And then Victoria, you're going to be showing us how to take a Hyperledger template or a AI tool and attach it to all information to make a standard look and feel for the community, for their user guide and technical documentation. And this would be your section. I wasn't sure if I wanted Vault Keeper Victoria or Guide Provider, so you can pick your nickname, or and everybody can change your nickname if you don't like it. If you think of something better, please go ahead. It will be better for Arunima when she's introducing her summer friends. So again, this would be where you would teach the community how to do user guides and also where to store them. That's a big thing for me. Victoria, is we create these user guides. If no one can access them or get to them, it doesn't really make much sense. So that's another thing. So we want the community to be able to make standard looking user guides, but we also want to make them available. Do you have any questions, Victoria?
No, not for now. Not for now.
Okay, great. Thank you. Oh, again, and this would just be when I was going through the slides when I had started on Gianluca, the GitHub guru. one of the first things that I came across was that there's going to need to be, I keep doing that, a user guide for the maintainers, so that, like, first stop, I'm a new maintainer. Step one, I need to go to this GitHub repository and copy it. Step two, so that's a user guide, and maybe you can use, you know, I don't know what example, Victoria, you want to use as a demo during this, but maybe that would be one. But that's just one of the user guides I know the community needs, is how to be a maintainer, how to be a contributor, how, you know, those kind of things. So I just put that on there just as a placeholder. I didn't mean to try to do the work. And then best practice, this is badge builder Agnes. She is not on the call, so we might also do a co-chair for her. And this would be working with Rama, I guess, on the best practices to ensure that all the documentation, we're going to probably create a cute little badge that would go on the wiki page or next to each document or on each document that says that this has the seal of approval. It has whatever the documentation is, whether it is a graduated project's GitHub repository, mostly the make the docs stuff. Can you pick up the make the docs from the GitHub repository? And is it usable? Can someone pick it up and use it? That is badge worthy if you can. If you can't, your user guide shouldn't get the badge. So basically the best practices and the badging section would be here, and we'll work on that. Again, badging kind of works through everything else we're doing, because like if you do good user guide, you should get a badge. If you've created a GitHub repository and you have enough maintainers and you meet all the recommendations, you should get a badge so that you could move to an incubated status or a graduated status. And then on Kasha the onboarder, you sound like you're going to take over the territory. So your basic job again is to make sure everybody knows all this great stuff is available and that they can get to it. I always say 2 clicks. That's just a phrase, but can get to it pretty much. If I'm, for instance, by the way, congratulations to all the graduates, Runima, congratulations. But if I'm a new graduate and I want to get involved in the Hyperledger community as a coder, and I want to contribute, where do I go? Like if I go to the Discord, LinkedIn, homepage, wiki page, how do I know where to click to get where I have to go? So again, you're working very closely with the onboarding committee. So we just need you for the documentation section of it.
Thank you, Bobby. Also, just wanted to mention, yeah, you like asked once updates on onboarding. So like I'm currently working a lot on onboarding part with, I'm just there or collaborating with Ben and working a lot on it. And by like this week, we'll be putting up the halfway deliverables as well. So in case, you need a proper report or something, let me know. I'll explain everything, whatever is going on today.
Yeah, well, that would be all the stuff that you would be presenting through us, all the stuff that you're working on. So again, this would be your section of the slideshow. So you would say, okay, now we've worked closely with Ben. Here's what we've come up with for onboarding on the website, or on, you know what I mean? So that you can explain to the community onboarding through documentation eyes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, completely.
Good. And then this one, I threw this one in here for Arunima again, or anyone else, aid guide Arunima. So we need someone to go to all of the mentees projects that we had pulled out on our wiki page and see what documentation help they need, and maybe help. I'm not sure if anyone knows one of the, I'm sorry, I did it again. If anybody knows one of the mentees that could use help that we could use as a use case demo on this presentation, that would be great. If not, Arunima, you and I can coordinate so that we can talk to the mentees that look like they really need documentation. I know that a couple of projects are just documentation, and I put some down that I came across in the community on our wiki page, which we'll go over when I'm done with the presentation. So again, we need to find a mentee project that we can show from project's inception to culmination, the flow of documentation. So, you know, if a new project needs documentation in the mentee, oh, here's how the documentation task force helped me. They directed me to this user guide, which worked, you know, that kind of demo. So again, and this is just a Runima because no one was there. And then I put AR architect Bobby, which I think now should be substituted for everyone, should have a section here to talk about their favorite AI in documentation. But more so, we do need to identify, oh, I did it again, dang it. To identify the opportunities. I do like the overall AI engine for frequently asked questions instead of trying to recreate frequently asked questions, let a bot do it. And I don't know how that looks, but again, that's something Gianluca or anyone else interested in that we can go over. We still have, you know, several months in this project to work on this presentation, but now that it's organized in such a way we know what exactly our deliverables are, we can fine tune them over the next few months. And this one I think is going to be a lot of fun. Oh, I did it again. A lot of fun trying to work through what AI in documentation looks like. And again, I just put my name there because I wasn't anywhere and I felt like a slacker. But this could be all of us. This could be, you know, wherever we think AI is going to help in documentation in the Hyperledger community. And I do want, if your section has an AI tool you use, I want you to demo that during this presentation and discuss it and talk about it and get people familiar with it. Because again, this is the strategy for AI, and I really want to probably have a slide that says these are the AI tools we recommend at the end. I know that would go a big way for the Linux Foundation and that guy, Mr. Reeves. And then my recommendations, these will be all our recommendations. Like I said, a page for what AI we recommend, and then a recommendation for library access. I think this should be stored, all our user guides, all our recommendations, everything. We need a Hyperledger library. And if you look at the website, I'm not sure. Okay. I'm not sure if it will, we can go look at that in a minute. Let's just do that now. So when you come to this website, the Learn tab has great case studies, use case tracker, webinars, white paper, research, and landscape. I'm going to push for a button that says library and have it look like a library with books, maybe these kind of, but have it organized so that you can get at all the user guides in one. And I don't want them stored there. I just want links, books with links to where they are. Yes,
I'll definitely note that, and you know, pose this idea of adding libraries.
yeah. So you like the idea of a library? That's great.
Yes, it is a great
Yeah.
idea.
And it should definitely be under this Learn key, because when I look at this, if I want to find something very index specific, I have no idea where to go. I mean, do I search all the webinars to find a webinar on Fabric, or where, you know, I just think there should be a library button. So that's something that would be one of our recommendations. And again, this recommendation page on our presentation, and again, I will share that presentation as a Google Doc. You can do it on your own in an own PowerPoint. You don't have to do it within our document. Do work however you, whatever medium you work best on, we'll figure out how to get it into one format at the end. So other than, let me just finish up my thing and then everybody else can have a chance to talk. So these are the tools that I am definitely going to research after today's call. Figma, because maybe we don't want to put it on a PowerPoint, but we want to use something like that because that was really cool to see. And Whimsical, I'm going to be spending my afternoon with. That is just, to me, unbelievable. So through the community, there were a few things that came up, and this is one of the things that I was interested in. So we have this Anon Creds working group meeting that's happening this afternoon. I'm thinking maybe I don't know if I'll have time, but if I attend it, I want to take that YouTube recording and put it through one of those AI engines and get a summary of it, and possibly put that in our library, wherever we wind up storing our library. We have to talk to Ben about that, or David Boswell, but this is just a use case, idea for me to test some of the AI tools, is to take this meeting this afternoon and see if we can use some tools on the YouTube recording. There is also a weekly blog. Did I put that down here? There was information that came from the community, and I'm going to try to multitask now, and you know that always gets me in trouble, on weekly blogs and how to submit them to the Hyperledger. I think that we should submit a blog about what we're doing as often as possible. Let me see if I can get to that information quick enough, though. So weekly blogs, anyone can, and according to these guidelines with this information, can submit. I really thought I put that on there. Hold on a second. Can submit a weekly blog to Hyperledger, and they will absolutely consider it for to put up on. They're always looking for new information for the blogs. So let me just see if I can find it. Let me see what this is. No, that's not it. I'll look for it. Hold on. Give me just one more second. So again, so we can submit blogs anytime we want to. You can talk about, how much fun you're having on your summer vacation in the documentation standards. You can talk about whatever you want, but I suggest that you submit, because the more we get a buzz about our presentation that we're going to be doing this fall, the more people will be interested, and the more we'll get our information out there, which is really what we want. Why can't I find this? Here's another interesting thing for the badging life cycle. Let me see if this has any relevance to what we're working on. Oh no, this is just the recording. So actually, that's pretty good that we have that. I'm going to put that on our wiki page. So this is the recording, Rama, from your meeting. So I'm just going to put that. Get a chance to listen to that one. And then I will put the blog when I find it. I'm not going to waste any more of our time. The format for the weekly blogs, so that I encourage everyone on this call to send one in. They would appreciate it. I would appreciate it. The more we can get the word out, the better. This was just another presentation that's already completed that I thought maybe we could do the AI engine to see how that works out, to see if it can give us a summary of that tool. And I think that was it. And then that's just the antitrust policy. Okay, so that was it for me. I will put this presentation up on the Google Drives and also store it on a link to the Google Drive on our wiki page. Oh, this is the mentorship one. Sorry, wrong tab. And then we can get started with just trying out some of the tools. Again, this stuff is just use case testing. I'll leave this and get rid of the rest of it. So let me see. Oh, good. I'm excited to pour for you to write the blog. Now you have me doubling down to find the format. So does anybody else have any questions or want to discuss or thoughts about what we're doing? Victoria, your hand is still raised. I'm not sure if that was from before.
Yeah, I have I want to say something.
Oh, go ahead.
For the presentation, I think there's a slight switch. I'm working on the best practices while Agnes is working on the user guide.
Oh, okay, I'll switch it.
Okay, and then I saw on the best practices page where I do write updates of what I'm working on. I saw what you wrote there about badging. So I don't quite understand what's
Okay, so there
about
is
that.
there, and Rama can probably speak better to this than I can, but there's a whole nother task force in the community for badging. And it's not just badging for documentation, it's like security, make sure all your projects have the right security, make sure your projects all have the right licenses, make sure your continuous updates or processes are correct and in line with the community, and make sure your documentation is at a certain level for people to use it. So our task force and Rama's task force have to work together to make sure that the documentation meets those best practice standards, and they're being developed now. So we're working closely with that task force to figure out what needs from documentation required to make a best practice badge. And I always dream big. I think the whole community should be tokenized for a reward incentive for learning, but I think that's a project for maybe next year's mentorship. But Rama, do you have anything to add for Victoria on best practices?
No, I think you covered it, Bobby. As you said, we discussed the tokenization project that you suggested. I think it's a great idea, but I think it would be a great topic for next year's mentorship. Instead, this year we're going to be focusing on just listing the right badges, a comprehensive set of badges that one would need to help a project navigate through its life cycle. So the main reason for having badges is so it tells the maintainers, the Hyperledger community, as well, and especially the Hyperledger TOC, what stage a project is in, how good it is doing at the basics, at what every project is expected to do, and also to help the TOC determine whether a project is ready to move on to the next stage in its life cycle. So as you said, documentation is one of them. It's a very important one, but it's not the only badge that a project is going to aspire to.
Okay, so if I understand, this is a new, or let's say it's a present task force that's working on implementing badges on different stages of projects or different requirements for each project. Was I clear enough?
So yeah, I mean, I think so. So the badges are represent general attributes, like Bobby said. There's something on there'll be a badge that says that a project has reached or provides uh, a certain level of documentation. Maybe we'll have some grades on that. Like if the highest level of documentation you can reach is, let's say, documentation level 5, maybe you're at 3 now because you have uh, tips on how to get started, but you don't have an FAQ page, something. I'm just making something up right now, but we're going to be listing badges and the levels that those badges, the grades that those badges may have, and we can then assign, and each project can then qualify for a particular badge depending on how well its maintainers have done on that particular dimension, like how comprehensively they have, how comprehensive the documentation is, whether or not it is following the recommendations that this task force is going to put forth, and so on.
Okay, so how can I reach you if I have questions or some things to be clear?
You can reach me
How
on
do I
Discord,
reach?
and yeah, so reach me on Discord. Also, you can join, follow the badging lifecycle Discord channel. There's one on. You should be able to see that on Discord. And yeah, I mean, you can message there. You can also message me directly if you wish, and join the bi-weekly badging and lifecycle call that we set up.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, Bobby. I was going through some resources you shared, so I was confused a bit. I just want to know for these best practices, are we just going to focus on documentation best practices or best practices for each project? Because it was quite confusing for me at some point.
Well, we're hoping that the standards, so for instance, like the best practices from a documentation perspective, if you take one project. So for instance, if you take a project that's graduated, let's just look at Fabric because it's the oldest and the biggest. So as a best practice, can you pick up the current Make the Docs user guide for Fabric and get started? Is it easy? Is it hard? On a scale of 1 to 10, is it a 1 or is it a 10? I personally find the old programs and the old stuff was very, very difficult to take the user guide, go to a blank computer and spin up a blockchain. I found it near impossible. Once I got to the point where all my Docker things were right and all my artifacts were installed and all that happy stuff was done, using it was simple, but getting there was impossible. And that's one of the things as a community we want to improve on. And that's why the Make the Docs and the Read the Docs are going to be more standard. But from your opinion, and I know I see you on social media, you're an excellent technical writer. From your opinion, is that stuff good? Is the Make the Docs making it? And then if you go to the wiki page, does the Fabric have, if I'm an end user, can I understand Fabric from the documentation? What would be your recommendations for the community for a project to get a badge that says all my documentation is perfect, not perfect, but is usable and understandable? What do those standards look like for our community? I don't know. We don't have them. And that's basically what and it's just documentation. We don't care if a project doesn't have its security licenses, or if it doesn't have, the licensing it needs, or it doesn't know how to update itself. We just care if an end user wants to understand this. What do you think it needs? Well, I think it needs a Make the Docs, a guide on how to install it and use it. I think it needs user guides for the business person coming in who, wants to redo their transactional systems and doesn't know what blockchain is. Then you need someone who wants to contribute to Fabric, who's a coder. What documentation is there for them? In my opinion, and again, I think there should be 3 buttons on every single wiki page for each one of those users. I think there should be 3 buttons on each one of the websites and for those users, because I know maintainers don't need to know what business people know. And I know contributors don't need to manage the blockchain wiki page. They just need to go where the code is and see what the best first issue is. So as a best practices, what do you think that looks like for the community? I mean, it is a vague task force and it is hard it's almost like wrestling cattle. Like, how do you, in your opinion, because I know I could probably sit down and think about it and come up with, but I'd like, your fresh take on it.
Okay, so if I'm clear what you said that this particular subsection, we are to look into we are to develop or create guidelines on documentation such that anyone that comes across documentation can read can use it and can also reproduce a particular, let me say, project or user guide, if I'm clear.
Correct. Absolutely correct.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
And let me just share my screen to make sure that we're in line with what we've been talking about. So again, here is just, this is more for Gianluca's section. Let it load quickly. Like, for instance, this is the minimum requirements to leave the project incubation exit criteria. So if you want to be a graduated product, here's your legal requirement, and this would be all the stuff that would earn a badge. And here, sufficient, this is all it says. And to me, that is not guidelines. That is not helpful. That means absolutely nothing to me. What a project must include enough, what's enough, what does that mean? This needs to have some guidelines as to
Exactly.
enough documentation for so you kind of see where we're going.
Yeah, true. Yeah, it's clear. Thank you so much. I did. Thank you.
And I'll put this link in the chat for you so that you can kind of see where we're at with our best practice badging for documentation. It doesn't really say enough, in my opinion. And so that would be kind of where that taxonomy, and again, I would put it in that whimsical thing and see what it comes up with, because boy, that thing is very, I'm still stuck on that. Does anybody have, I think we're running out of time. We're over time. If there's any more questions, Akansha. You have your hand up?
Hello. Yeah. So yeah, I was like listening to all these things, and one thing you mentioned, Bobby, that you along with Arunima would check out the documentation needs of other projects, right? So tomorrow, like with Min, my mentor Niku, and like other mentors, like we are hosting a session for all the mentees, and I guess Arunima must have also got the link for that. Like there's a full session organized just for the mentees, because till now we didn't have any, networking session or anything. So in that, mentees of all the projects of 23 LFX mentees, selected mentees of all the projects of this cohort would be, joining in. So just like, recommendation, if you want to ask and, discuss, or just tell, Anurima wants to tell that, they can, or share her contact or anything, that for any documentation need, they can approach her. So that would be beneficial for you. Like it would be easier to get in contact with all the mentees together, because they're already coming in. Like it's a very fun session, and Min and other people from Hyperledger would be joining in. And I'm not sure that if you have also received the link for that. But yeah,
Yes,
I guess
please. I definitely will attend that. I definitely will be there, because that, to me, I think that, and again, I'm not telling anyone on a committee how to do their committee, but I think that if we need use cases, we should use the mentee projects, because I have a feeling they touch each one of our buckets in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. That's why, just got in mind, because it's tomorrow itself. So if you'll be there, it would be really great. You can also, I'll just, sorry?
Yeah, I'm just going to check to see if it's on the public calendar. If not, I'll put it right on our wiki page if you could share the link. But let's just see if it's on the public calendar.
I don't think it is. I checked it. It's not there in the public calendar.
Ugh.
No, actually,
Okay, could you
the
just share
thing
that
is,
link or put
it's
it on
for
the wiki?
the selected mentee.
I'm sorry, what?
The thing is, Min had shared it with the mentee separately to the mentee list of the selected Hyperledger projects. That's why maybe it's not on the public thing, but
Okay.
I think so. POC members were, like Min told, that POC members would be joining in. So either I can share you the mail, I'll just mail you that, or you can even like Min must have been in contact with that. I'm not sure about it. I also made Min once that, to send the invitation to all the mentors and people today itself.
Yeah, if
I
you could
think
just
in
put a link to that meeting and the time here on our documentation task force page, everyone in the meeting can go to that to get information if they'd like. But I'm definitely going to be there. So if you could put that here for me, that I would really appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm doing that.
Thank you, thank you.
Sure,
So
sure,
for the
we will.
week, again, take your slide section. Again, I don't, other than the fact that I just made a template from the website, I'm not telling you to use my slide or anything, but work on your section so that next week we'll go over the slideshow again, and then each person who worked on a section will do that section during the slideshow. And again, if you have AI tools you want to introduce, do a section on that, because I think we all have something to say about that section. Anybody else have any more questions?
Yeah, when is the presentation?
Well, right now, we don't have anything scheduled. What we have to do is our first, and this is just what I kind of thought the way it would go, would be to first make an appointment with the TOC meeting to make sure that when we do this presentation, everything in it is acceptable from the TOC. So that we don't have anything that they're going to say, whoa, 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 you can't teach that to the community. So that would be our first presentation. And that can be as soon as we feel the slides are ready. That could be at the end of the month. It could be the middle of September. Then after that, our next step would be to do a international meetup where the meetup groups all broadcast our presentation live at the same time all over the globe and on YouTube, where we kind of publicly present this stuff. Then I have a feeling we're going to be doing this, depending on how strong our AI section is, to the Linux Foundation and Robert Reeves group. And then the culmination definitely would be present this at the Global Forum. That is our end goal, is whenever they decide the next global forum is, we want to showcase ourselves and this on stage as much as possible, having I know the global forum runs where they have a area for like ongoing labs, like you can come and ask questions. I want to have a table there. I want to have a really big presence at the global forum for documentation, because that's how you reach the community. That's how they get to learn what documentation and teaching our stuff can look like. So those would be the presentation schedule. And again, if there's any other presentations that come along, we will add them in. But the first one would be to the TOC, and that would be as soon as we feel. They meet weekly. We meet weekly. So whenever we feel we're ready.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Anybody else? All right, I'll share
Okay,
this.
so
Oh, go ahead.
yeah, I actually updated the link on the wiki page, and I've mentioned the time in IST, so make sure that whoever is joining convert that to the respective time zones so that there is no confusion and mistake.
Perfect. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for that. And again, Ankasha is doing the onboarding section, and I know that that's huge with her. Other board best practices is the same way, where you have information from another committee, but everybody else can do, knock yourself out. Let's see what you come up with. And Arunima, we need to work on the intro slides because they're way too wordy. So if you want to like try to jump into that, change them, edit them, whatever you think it needs to look like. But I will put a link right on as soon as this call is over to a shared document. This presentation is a shared document. And again, don't feel like you have to work in Google Docs. I cannot work in Google Docs. I have to work on my own local processors and then put it up on Google Docs. So if that's the way you work, fine. Just as long as next week, if you have something to present, you can present it. It doesn't have to be together. We can, worry about that at the very end, the presentation itself, but just so that you can keep your information logically stored. All right, everybody have a good week. And
Yeah, Bobby.
again, come up with a better nickname for yourself. Knock yourself out.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you so much, Bobby, for the
And don't forget the
presentation.
blog. Everybody blog. I'll put that up on this wiki page too.
Yeah, if you can also share the format, or like you said, yeah, so we know how to go about it.
Yes, I will. I'll put that on there right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Bobby. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.